Welcome back to We the Palestinians. Today's conversation is a personal one because I'm speaking with someone who shares not only my identity but my origin story. Both Muhammad and I were born and raised as Palestinian refugees in Lebanon. We grew up navigating borders we never crossed, passports we never held, and a homeland we only knew through stories, longing, and imagination. And that's why today's interview is special. It's not just about where we come from, but about what we dream of going. In this episode, we explore questions at the heart of Palestinian futurism. What does the right of return feel like for someone who never left? What would freedom change about our ability to travel, work, dream, and belong? What does a future without refugee status look like for our generation and the next? This conversation is an invitation to imagine together a Palestine where mobility is a right, not a privilege, and where belonging is something we finally get to experience, not only inherit. So let's begin. I will be starting with a few grounding questions that I will be asking to every participant. So, Muhammad, if you could choose one word to describe the future you imagine for Palestine, what would that word be?
Actually, I believe in hope. I believe that Palestine is not just for Palestinian right now after October 7 and after everything that happened in October 7. Palestine now is the case of millions of people. It's the case of people who believe in hope. It's the case um, of people who believe in what's right against what is wrong. So Palestine is not just for us right now, it's for the whole people in the world. So when Palestine is free, we will not only be free,
Mhm.
the whole world will be free because what's wrong in Palestine is connected to everything in this world: injustice, the death of innocent people, the financially support of wars in all the world, whether it's in Ukraine, in Palestine, and other countries. So right now, if you can see, we Arabs, we people who are affected by this conflict, we are like we are one of the few people who are showing up for this case. But if you go now to Europe, if you go to the streets, if you go see people who don't share our faith, our identity, are the people who are fighting for our case. So as I told you, Palestine now is not just for Palestinians, it's for the whole world.
Mhm. So, hope is the word that I'm taking from
Yeah,
your.
I believe in hope and justice and the victory of what is good against evil. This is what
Mhm.
I believe. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. So, which city in Palestine are you or your family originally from?
I'm originally from Jerusalem, one of the most big families.
Mhm.
Hosseini, it's a known family in Palestine. My grandmother comes from Haifa. She was a Christian Palestinian who then moved to Lebanon and met my grandfather in Lebanon, and they got married in Lebanon. Yeah. So, and my grandfather actually also was in Gaza, but
Mhm.
we're originally a Palestinian family from Jerusalem, a
Mhm.
very big, rich family from Palestinian.
Mhm. And my third question is, where are you currently based today? You don't have to share the name of the city, you can just share the name of the country or the province.
Yeah, actually, right now I'm living in Germany, in
Mhm.
Stuttgart. It's fine. I can share the name of the city. I study here in Germany. And yeah, I'm trying to build something in this country because you know how hard it is for us as Palestinians. So you have to secure something, you have to sacrifice a lot.
Mhm.
And it's like with you and everyone. No one wants to leave his country, no one wants to leave the country where we were born in Lebanon and stuff. But we were forced to build something, to have something in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for sharing, Muhammad. Now, before we dive into any further questions, I'd love for you to introduce yourself in your own words. Tell us just a little about who you are, whatever you feel comfortable sharing about your own journey.
Mhm. Yeah, like you know the most part of me because we were together in school, but like let's share what's in general. I'm Mohamad. I'm 25 years old already. I went out of Lebanon when I was 18 to study in Ukraine. I wanted also to study something and maybe then think of securing something for me in Europe because, as you know, in Lebanon, the difficulties we have as Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
My dad did the same stuff, so I went to Ukraine. I studied dentistry. Then I didn't really know and expect what's gonna happen to me in the future. Like, if you ask me 6 years ago, what would you expect after you finish studying in Ukraine? I would tell you maybe go to back to Lebanon and
Mm-hmm.
work or do some practice there, and maybe have a chance to go to Spain because my brother is Spanish, as you know. Um, and then the war happened in Ukraine. I was learning 1 week before Spanish because I was really thinking, what should I do next?
Mm-hmm.
So then, when the war happened in Ukraine, and then I found myself leaving Ukraine, I wanted to go to Spain, and my dad was calling me and telling me go to Germany. In Germany, the system here with people who live from war zones, they can profit from many stuff, and Germany was a good option. My dad was telling me that Spain is more for tourism and stuff. In
Mm-hmm.
Germany, you can build your future, you can have good education, you can continue your studies in dentistry and stuff. So to be honest, I didn't expect this. I didn't like the German language at all. So I found myself in this country from the beginning, from the first day of my stay in Germany. I started learning the language because I have a goal and I want to do something. So Germany was a new chance for me. No
Mm-hmm.
one can deny that Germany is one of the greatest countries in this world. I started learning the language. I wanted to continue my dental studies here, but there were some difficulties in this approbation process and stuff. So I learned the language to the highest level, and now I'm admitted at a university. I'm studying biotechnology also in my first semester. I'm 25, but I'm still studying from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no other option. Like, my whole friends are already doctors in Lebanon. Yesterday they passed the colloquium, the Lebanese colloquium.
Yeah.
But in our case, you can never do this exam. You can never be um, considered as a dentist in Lebanon or a doctor. You have to work illegally, and this stuff. You know how hard is it to be Palestinian. So I have no other options. If I go now back to Lebanon, I miss Lebanon and stuff, but there's no other options for me. I have to stay here, try to do something here, maybe take the nationality in order to save myself and the next generation, my kids and stuff. So yeah, that's me. And now I'm in Germany studying and yeah, like aiming for something better and better and trying to improve on all levels so I can help myself, give a good impression about me, about my country, about where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it.
What I love about your story is not just you're my childhood friend, it's the fact that you moved between too many countries, being born in
Yeah,
Lebanon and then you moved to Ukraine and then you moved to Germany.
yeah.
You truly represent the story of a Palestinian refugee who had to move across so many borders to find a sense of belonging, to find a sense of home. And back to your point about saying, oh, you're 25, but I'm still studying. There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen white people who are Americans or Canadians taking a gap year and then continue to study even when they're, I don't know, 28 or something. And our challenges are way different than the challenges of people who are born with a certain nationality. So thank you for sharing, Mohammed.
Yeah.
I could resonate with so many of the things that you shared, and especially the challenges that Palestinian refugees face in Lebanon.
Mhm.
This leads me to my first question actually, in this series, and it's about the having a sense of belonging. So,
Mm.
as a Palestinian born in Lebanon, how was growing up, in Lebanon shaped your sense of belonging to Palestine, and then later on moving to Ukraine and Germany? Did you feel more Palestinian in Lebanon than you felt in Germany and Ukraine, or vice versa?
Nice question, to be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you ask me about my like feeling of belonging, I would say I always believe that I belong to Lebanon.
Mm.
Lebanon is the country I was born in. It's
Mm-hmm.
the country. My mom is Lebanese. My
Mm-hmm.
dad is Palestinian, also born in Lebanon in 1958. It's the country where I had my friends, best memories in my life. As you can see, I have a Lebanese flag. I have a kufiya here, of course. But I would never deny that my dad always taught us what is the meaning of being a Palestinian. My
Mm-hmm.
dad, you can say, as a good fanatic, he was so into Palestine, although he never saw anything about Palestine. He
Mm-hmm.
was telling us it's the best country in the world. Palestine is the beginning of everything and the end of everything. I didn't understand back then what he meant. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe he's a little bit of fanatic and stuff. But my dad was someone who was proud to be a Palestinian.
Mm-hmm.
He took us to Palestinian football games when Palestine came to play in Lebanon. He showed me the refugee camp he was raised in and stuff. My dad left many things behind to help his own people in Lebanon until now, and he's proud of this. Everywhere he goes, he when he wants to introduce himself, he's like, "I'm Palestinian."
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, you asked a nice question. When I was a kid, I don't speak Palestinian. I don't have the Palestinian accent. My dad actually has. I don't know how. Maybe the environment he was raised in. I can tell you something that when I became in Europe and especially in Germany and after October 7, my love to Palestine increased even more.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more to the country now. I feel more proud. When I was a kid, some of my friends in the neighborhood were abusing me, telling me that you're a Palestinian, you can throw rocks very like long rocks and stuff. And I was sometimes ashamed to say I'm Palestinian. I don't know why, but actually I was ashamed. But when I was I left to Germany and stuff, and now I feel like I belong more to Palestine and also Lebanon. Lebanon is a very precious country for me. Uh, but here, when you see everyone fighting this nation and everyone like in the streets holding the flags of this country, the music, the culture, football stadiums everywhere, you feel like you're proud. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was right when he was telling me about Palestine. My dad was right when he was telling me all of this stories about Palestine. um, and to be honest, my dad would not be happy if I say I'm from Lebanon. He would like actually like once we had this like problem, not problem, misunderstanding, and someone was asking me where do you come from, and I told him I'm from Lebanon, and my dad heard that, and oh my God, it was like, what did you say? Lebanon is not your country, Palestine. I'm like, no, Palestine is my country, and Lebanon is my country. My
Mm-hmm.
mom is from Lebanon and you're from Palestine, and I was born in Lebanon. Palestine is in my heart. I want to see the people of Palestine happy. We cried a lot for Palestine. Like since October 7, as I told you, the love to this nation increased more and more, and I belong to this country, and I do everything to put this country on the map, as you do. I think everything you do is for Palestine, so we can show that we are people, a brave nation that will never give up.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said about how we introduce ourselves as Palestinian refugees born and raised in
Mm.
Lebanon. And I love how you mentioned, oh, I don't have the Palestinian accent. And I think that's something people who are not Arab do not understand.
Yeah,
When they ask you to like, oh, speak to me in Palestinian, as if it's some different language, or I don't know, it's I 100% understand what you're saying, and this leads me to my second question, which is what does the right of return mean to you personally? And in that sense, I mean the right of return to Palestine. But I do understand your point because I have this conversation with my dad too when I ask him if we have the right of return to Palestine, would you go back? And he's like, we know no one there. All of our families here. My grandfather was buried in Lebanon, my
yeah,
grandmother, and I think it's the same for you. Um,
exactly.
so I'm just curious, what does the right of return mean to you?
Actually, as you said, we were born in Lebanon, and Lebanon is like now our country. We have our memories, friends, and stuff. But the right of return is not just for us, for you, for me. It's for a lot of Palestinians who live in refugee camps who dream till now to go back to Palestine. I want to see all the Palestinians from all the world going back to their country, where they have their full right equally. They don't live under occupation and stuff. So the right of return is something connected with hope, connected with the
Yeah.
people who have suffered a lot. So of course it means a lot for me, and I can assure you that when this day comes, it's gonna be the happiest day of my life. It's not because I returned, it's because everything Palestine stand for has won, because what's right has won, and because at the end everything that is right will win. And this is for me why it's important. It's not just returning, going back and having, of course, this is something, it would be amazing just to think about it. But can you imagine when Palestine will be free and everyone will return home and stuff? and everyone will live together. It's more than returning. It's victory. It's good winning against evil. It's what's right, winning against imperialism, white supremacy, uh, oppression. So it's more than returning. It's a victory that I'm sure one day will come. I hope it's gonna be in our generation, because in this day, I think it will be the best day of my life. I hope I will see this day. I hope. I hope.
I love this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love how you said it's not just the actual physical act of returning. It's the
Mhm.
idea of having freedom for Palestinians to choose whether they want to go back to their homeland or not. I love how you
Exactly.
phrased that. And my other question for you, and I think you might love this question too, it's um, what has your experience with travel, borders, and visas taught you about freedom?
When I was in school, I was always telling you, if you want to go to the toilet as a Palestinian, you need a visa. Um, like actually, after I moved to Germany, now I can travel within Europe and stuff. But
Okay.
before, I had to suffer. Once I had a very bad experience traveling to Poland from Ukraine.
Hmm.
I had a Schengen visa,
Hmm.
and they were looking at my passport. Where do you come from? What is this passport? Is this a travel document? Do you come from Libya, Lebanon? Looking, calling everyone, and I'm trying to explain to them. How can I explain to them? How can I explain to them? So they told me you have to show money and you have to, and I was not admitted to go inside the country. I have to correct some stuff, which I did later. I didn't know. Maybe they have right. They have their own policy. But I can give you another example. My dad is a doctor who's a surgeon that have his own bank account, and he have traveled to Europe many times. And my brother had sent him invitation legally to come to Europe to visit us and stuff,
Hmm.
and he did it many times. But always in the Schengen visa, he can visit all countries except some countries,
Hmm.
including Germany, for example, Portugal, and stuff. And my dad last time was not admitted to Germany. They claimed that his visa is valid in all countries except Germany. I don't understand why. My dad is here with his own money. He's not here to live. And my dad was like, if you give me the whole country, I would not stay here. I'm here to visit my kids and stuff. So it was very hard for us, and it was unfair. And the last time my dad tried to apply for visa, he was not given also the visa because he's a
Hmm.
Palestinian. Uh, and as I said, he received an invitation from a Spanish citizen, which means he's gonna stay with my brother. My brother is also a doctor and stuff. And this is unfair for Palestinians and many others Palestinians. They cannot travel anywhere. It's restricted wherever they want to go. So this is why we're trying to do something in this country so we can be able to stay away from such stuff.
100%. Yeah. My dad pretty much had the same experience when he wanted to visit me one time in Europe, and Germany was one of the countries that he could not enter, even with the Schengen.
Yeah, yeah,
So definitely our status as refugees limits our freedom to a huge extent. Um,
exactly.
so this leads me to my other question, which also ties nicely to that, the previous one. What do you hope future Palestinian refugees in Lebanon and elsewhere, what would you hope they would never have to experience again?
Um, Actually, I would say I was lucky enough to be born in a family where my dad was a successful doctor, my mom was a good mom and stuff. We were one of the best schools in Lebanon. We had good education and stuff. But at the same time, no one can deny that many refugee camps, many people live under different circumstances.
Mhm.
Like, for example, in my own family, I had some people who had not good education. They
Mhm.
went through wrong directions, as we can describe this. In refugee camps, there's this problem with drugs, poor education, um, not clean water, a lot of problems. And you know this in many different refugee camps.
Mhm.
Also, weapons and stuff, which I'm totally against. Not only the Lebanese, I'm totally against. I want the Palestinian people in Lebanon. Okay, don't give them the citizenship, but at least give them the right to work, give them the right to travel and
Mhm.
stuff. Although we deserve the Lebanese passport, and of course, it would be a pleasure for me to have this nationality, the country that I love, the country where I feel I belong. But for example, there's a lot of unfairness. You can see the FIFA president was awarded the nationality for nothing. We
Hmm.
were people who were raised and given, we were, we spent all our whole life in this country. So also, yeah, as I told you, Palestinian refugee camps suffer under very hard circumstances like drugs, poor education and stuff. I would wish that they would have the proper education that me and you had, for example. You know, in our class back then, there were many Palestinians, and we were all great students. We were all great students that passed the final exams with good grades and stuff. And even when you remember this ULIP stuff, scholarship stuff,
Yeah.
when I wanted to get the scholarship, so I was like, okay, I got 16 out of 20 and I need the scholarship. So they told me back then, many Palestinians got a lot of good grades. So maybe your probability of getting a scholarship will not be very high because many had very good grades. We are people who are educated. I think no one is born as a criminal or someone that has to do with drugs. The environment sometimes can be very harsh. Some people live in harsh conditions and some have the chance to have a better situation. So yeah, we should be thankful. We had um, good education and we had a good environment that surrounded us. So in summary, what I wish for the Palestinian refugee camp is a good environment full of good education, away from weapons, drugs, and this bad stuff.
Hmm. I love how you were very specific in the sense of like even Palestinians who live in Lebanon have different experiences. Some
Yeah,
people
exactly.
are more privileged than others, and the experience in the Palestinian refugee camps differs than the experience outside of these camps.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And this leads me to my other question, which is if Palestinians had a passport that's equal to any other in the world, so let's say the Palestinian, you have a Palestinian passport that's as strong, for example, as a Lebanese passport. Like you can enter almost 30 plus countries without a visa. You're a Palestinian citizen. Um, how do you think that would have changed your life?
Of course, it would have been better in some cases. I would never come to Germany, never live in this country, never have to leave my parents growing up alone.
Hmm.
I would bury the people that I love, that I lost in my the last 4 years. A lot of stuff, you know. Migration is a very hard topic, and now in Europe, it's one of the main topics and stuff. I think no one in the world would like to leave his country.
Hmm.
I don't need to tell you about Lebanon. Lebanon is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. We have everything: food, weather, family, values, and stuff. People are nice and stuff, but we are forced and stuff. Like yesterday, my friends were sending me, they are all now doctors and they have their own clinic and they passed the Lebanese colloquium. And I cannot do this. I cannot take the same way. I have to do things different because I'm not Lebanese. I don't have the Lebanese passport. I can't work legally. My kids, my children. So this is why I'm in Germany, and people don't understand this. I had to sacrifice a lot of stuff for this stuff. And now I'm in Germany. I live in a very small room alone. I have to cook alone. I have to see my parents growing alone. I've not seen my mom for 3 years almost. It's hard, you know. We have to do this. We have no other options. I wish this would change with time, you know. But if I had the Lebanese passport, then I would have stayed in Lebanon. I have some friends that were our mutual friends that you know. I asked them, why don't you go and try to do some experience in, for example, European countries and stuff work? And they were like, why should I leave my country? Why should I leave my mom and dad? And I think, and they earn good money in Lebanon. So I should be like about this point clear. And then I was like, yeah, why should you leave for a passport? With having good money and good social status, you can travel wherever you want in the world. And yeah, but in our case, it's different. So you're in Canada, for example, very cold. You don't like this, I'm sure. But what can you do?
100%. And I have the
Yeah,
same thoughts as you do. Why am I
yeah.
going away, like growing up away from my parents? What if something happens to them? I think, unfortunately, as Palestinians, and my dad always he says this, the moment we left Palestine, we lost the meaning of home, and we will never find it again. We'll never find the
Mhm.
sense of belonging. As you said, Lebanon has our families, but then Lebanon, the government doesn't want us. The government is not as welcoming. The government doesn't give us the rights or the tools to stay in that country. And I always think, as you said, if I was a Palestinian citizen born in Palestine and there's no occupation, why would I leave?
Exactly.
And unfortunately, even for lots of Palestinians who were born in Gaza or the West Bank, or even born in occupied, like the occupied territories, many of them are forced to leave because of the occupation. The occupation doesn't allow them to have proper chances at education, at working, at safety. So, and for that's the unfortunate reality of so many refugees and so many Palestinians. Um,
Right.
I want to go back a bit to your like childhood. So, if you could share maybe one childhood memory that shaped your relationship to Palestine. I know that you mentioned when you moved to Germany after October 7, you had a stronger sense of belonging. Um, what about your childhood? What's one memory that you could think of that sort of shaped your relationship with Palestine?
When I was a kid, my dad was sometimes taking me with him to his clinic,
Hmm.
and I saw how Palestinians were living and stuff, and I saw how nice they are as people, the old ones and the young ones, and how much did they really love Palestine. I saw how my dad helped people in these refugee camps, and nowadays it's not just Palestinians who live there, also
Hmm.
Syrians and stuff. And when I saw this, I also can remember my grandmother, who was the last piece of Palestine that we had in our family. Actually, we still have one. He's my uncle in Germany. He was born in 1948. He's still alive.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Allah.
yeah. And with my grandmother, I she used to love us, and for me, she was someone that when I remember her, I remember Palestine. And when I remember how my dad loved his people, I also remember Palestine. I also can say about my aunt, which I lost in last April. She was one of the people I really love. I saw how much she loved Palestine. She was from Gaza and she came in 2007 to Lebanon. Uh, I saw how much she loved Palestine. Music, when her phone rings and stuff, Palestinian songs. She liked Mohamad a lot and stuff. She loved Palestine a lot. So this is my connection to Palestine. What else I have to Palestine connection? Yeah, like my dad always taught us about the country, about how great is it to be Palestinian. I didn't know the meaning of this until I came here and I really felt it. And after October 7, I believe October 7 have changed the world, not for us also only as Palestinians, but the whole world. Palestine now is on the map, and
Hmm.
people, there is no one that doesn't know about the case of
Hmm.
the Palestinians. Everywhere you go, you see flags. I was on an island in Croatia, and I saw a very small one. I saw Palestinian flags and stuff in Tenerife, where my brother lives. Everyone, these are the free people of the world. When I'm in the train station and I see someone wearing a kufiya, a European one, I leave everything to go and just give this person a compliment and tell this person that people like you will change the world. You and me and my parents and your parents, we've been affected for more than 75 years of this conflict. But the free people of this world will change something. People that don't share our identity. Trust me, our people are not the Palestinians, but what I mean when I say our people, the people that have the same beliefs as us, and the people who have the same race as us, they're not doing a lot for Palestine. You can see our European friends doing more. Many people are afraid. They are saying we don't want to go to war, but they don't understand the biggest threat to humanity, to the whole world, not just to Palestine, are the same ones who claim peace. So people are now on the streets. They know the truth, and they are more now awake. And
Hmm.
I hope, yeah, one day, and trust me, the next generations will be even more strict from us and from the whole world. And this is victory for me. Victory is not destroying infrastructure, killing innocent people, or killing children or women and stuff. The whole world knows who have caused a lot of suffering to humanity. In the West Bank, you can see illegal settlements, and we are always labeled as people who are from the third world countries, and we are people who don't want peace, who hate Jews. But it's not this. It's not this stuff. But some people already know that this narrative is doesn't exist. And some people unfortunately still have this narrative. And I think you and many other people and me sometimes when I can, I try to explain about this narrative so people can understand. Yeah.
First of all, power to you. You're one of the people, Muhammad, whom like I really admire. I admire your will to keep going. I admire how you left your family at such a young age, which is almost the
Yeah.
same age I left my family at. And we always talk about like how from our class of high school friends, I think we're the only two who left at that age and sort of moved abroad and started started adulthood at such a young age in a very foreign country. So
Mm.
power to you and thank you for sharing all of that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
this leads me to my other question, which is if we can imagine if free Palestine right now,
Mm.
there's no occupation, we've reached freedom. What's one law or policy that you would want future Palestine to have?
Like, of course, when we will have a free Palestine, not only, as I said, Palestine will be free, the surrounding Lebanon, Syria. You know, I don't know. I heard once Gaddafi, one of the Libyan president before, said they gave us a fake independence. In Lebanon, until now, if we need something, we need to take the permission of these strong countries. In Syria, as you can see, people are happy they are being free, and I'm really happy for this. I don't want to speak about politics a lot, but I believe uh, there's this freedom costs something. I want a Palestine, a Lebanon, a Syria, Jordan, all the countries to live in their own independence. They decide their own destiny. They have their resources, they have their people, they have their own. And this is what I wish for the whole world. I'm against imperialism in all forms. I don't care what your religion is. If you're a Muslim, a Christian, and stuff, equality should prevail. Justice should prevail everywhere. For example, if I see what like I don't want to speak about politics. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak about politics and about other countries. But as you know, like as I told you, I wish just justice. Everyone live in equality. People all together, Jews, Muslims, Christians, without extremism. People that understand each other. This is a dream because it's hard to achieve peace in this world. There will always be fighting. I hope this will end. And we are people that really want to live with freedom. And it's not right. The narrative of us Palestinians being ignorant, of us Palestinians being someone who want violence. No, it's not true. We are Palestinians who want to live in dignity in our own land with
Mm-hmm.
justice, and we want to live with everyone. We want to coexist with everyone, and there is no dominancy from anyone. Everyone with equal rights, whether it's here in Germany and stuff. And as you can see now in these countries, in Germany for example, there's the new labeling I like to call. If you are someone who's against genocide, if you're a pro-Palestinian, if you go to the street to protest for death to end, for people to sanction Israel, for the governments to sanction Israel, for what's happening in the West Bank. You are an anti-West. You hate the West. You hate the Western values. You are someone that's not thankful for what this country have given you and stuff. No, it's not like this. And many of my friends have fallen into this narrative. People from us, they think, oh, these people are in Europe, but they hate Europe. No, I think you have Canadian friends. I have German friends. It's not like this. We are here because we don't want people to die anymore. We are on the streets. I don't want to go to the streets. I don't have time to do this. But as I said, people are dying every day. We have to see the worst videos a human can imagine. Children being dead without head, limbs and stuff. And then they ask you, why are you protesting? You are not thankful to the country. No, this country, Germany, for example, financially support the war in Palestine with billions.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect me to do? At least stop exporting weapons and stuff. And people, as I said, they think we hate this country, we hate the West, we don't want to align with their values. No, it's not right. I'm in this country, I speak their language, I learn the language. I'm thankful, I contribute to this society. But they have caused, the government have caused, and many Germans are with us on the street, by the way. It's not only Arabs, and you know this. This is for the whole free people of the world now.
Yeah, and even Canada is very much complicit in the genocide in Gaza. They are exporting weapons, and although the Prime Minister has said that they made an announcement that they recognize a Palestinian state, does it their actions are not matching. There's reports and proof that they've sent so much weapons, so much bullets to the IUF, the Israeli occupation forces.
Mhm.
Um, and as you said, us as Palestinians and as humans of this world, seeing these constant videos of kids losing their limbs, of headless babies, and all these atrocities that we see coming out from Gaza, any person who claims to have some humanity and some dignity needs to act. Um, do you want to say something?
This doesn't exist. I think after October 7, if you still believe this stuff exists, it would be a great lie. I was in Ukraine, I studied in Ukraine, and I saw how people took Ukrainian people. Oh, we love you on the borders, food, stuff. I don't know what's the difference between them and us.
Mm,
Human rights died on October 7. The
hmm.
whole world saw this and they couldn't stop this terrorist state from the killing of innocent people. Every day, people die. People might say something, but they didn't act and they have the power to do this.
Hmm.
And as tell you, the greatest threat for me is these people and who the people that support them also are also complicit with these atrocities and stuff. So yeah, it's unfair, but unfortunately humanity died
Yeah.
when, yeah, after October 7. Even you, when October 7 happened, I wrote you on Instagram, you can read this, that it's gonna be hard how they will respond, and you told me it's not gonna be harder than 75 years of genocide. And
Mm,
even though the genocide still didn't happen, and then it verified what you said because people think it started on October 7.
hmm.
Yeah, but this narrative, as I told you, the majority of people, they know already, and they don't fall to this narrative anymore. And
Hmm.
there are some still people, yeah, but some people you cannot do anything. The eyes are not blind, but the heart.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, Muhammad, I'm so impressed. You still remember
yeah,
the text message that you sent me. I now that you mentioned it, I do remember it too. And I loved how you ended with like, yeah, the hearts are blind. And as you said,
yeah.
lots of people are changing their views on Palestine. I could see a lot like in the US they tried to ban TikTok because all these young Americans they're posting about Palestine. And politicians don't like that. But as you said, inshallah, during our lifetime, we get to experience and witness a free Palestine.
I
Um,
hope so.
and yeah, this leads me to my other question, which is if we're imagining a future again where Palestine is free, um, how do you think the freedom of movement would look like for Palestinians?
Of course, it's gonna be much better than now with these restrictions and stuff. Uh, we will be. I think the restrictions and this hardship will vanish because we will have the right to move. We will have the right to, you mean the liberation movements or our
I'm
movement?
thinking, I was thinking more in terms of if Palestine is free, do you think, for example, if you think of like Syria, for example, when the Assad regime was in place, so many countries had sanctions on the Syrian passport and Syrian citizens. And for us Palestinians right now, as you mentioned, like for example, Germany is one of the countries that takes so much precautions when admitting Palestinians. Do you think this would change after Palestine is freed, or do you think European countries would be more scared to admit Palestinians? Do you think um, like I know things will not change overnight, but do you think it would actually movement would actually be easier or harder?
You mean when it's a free Palestine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I hope this day will come. Free Palestine means the fall of Israel. And when we speak about the fall of Israel, we speak the fall of the United States of America. Because if you want to define what's Israel, Israel is the United States of America and the Middle East. This is
Mm,
a very small and clear definition for what Israel stands for. Many European countries would, I think, die to protect the state of Israel to survive. And Germany is one of these countries, and many other European countries. So when this day comes, it's hard to imagine what's going to happen next with these European countries. How will they accept the presence of only a Palestinian state, or maybe now we're speaking about two-state solution, which I believe it's impossible. But let's say a two-state solution. I think it's not for their own benefit to have a two solution state. Two-state solution. It's very hard for these countries to accept. So I believe when Palestine will be free, these countries will have to also will be also they will have the same destiny or fate as the Israeli state.
Mm.
Because as I told you, for example, today there is a football game in my city. You cannot imagine the police officers, the security. You know, Maccabi Tel Aviv, it's one of these hooligans. They are very fanatic. They chant death to Arabs. They go to Arab restaurants and they start breaking things and destroying stuff. They have full security, full like they are being taken care of. Like I don't know why. So what I'm getting to tell you that when Palestine will be free, these countries will be also affected because
Mm-hmm.
like let's now say there's this big war and stuff. These countries will be one of the main countries that will fight us. Unfortunately, they don't want us to be free because Israel serves their political interests in our region. So they protect this nation and claiming that they care for the Jewish like race and stuff. And they are like they feel sorry for their history and stuff, so they want to protect it at any cost. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the future. But like, for example, in Lebanon, when Syria, when this Assad regime was gone and stuff, many people had to accept this. Like in Lebanon, people who opposed, I mean, who supported the Assad regime and stuff, many had to support this. Like they couldn't do anything. So we cannot speak about this day. But as I told you, uh, the security of Israel for many European countries and for the United States of America is one of their top priorities. You can be very poor, you can go to the street, collect these bottles of water to get some money. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But they would send billions of money to the Israeli government to survive, to
Mm-hmm.
build technology, to build weapon. And many German are fighting for this. Why? Why I'm paying my taxes for wars? Why?
Mm-hmm.
I my grandfather is someone I don't know how do they call it, rente, when you're old and you have to pay this when they have to pay you back for all your contribution when you're old. I don't know how do they call
Is
it.
it the pension?
Pension, exactly. When this pension, it's one of the biggest problems in Germany. They give billions of dollars for weapons and for Ukraine and for other wars in the world, but their own people are really suffering. So this is what I mean, that these countries, one of their biggest priorities. Imagine if I want to take the German nationality, I have to say that Israel has the right to exist. Why? Why? This influence from Zionism is unbelievable. Yeah.
I You said so many important things. Recently, I was taking sort of like an online course that talks about Zionism in the Middle East. So, Zionism came, as you mentioned, as a project by Europe and by the United States after France and Britain were kicked out of the region. So, as you said, the United States needed or continue they wanted to continue to have influence in the region, and this is where they supported the creation of this project. And just like as Joe Biden, the previous president of the US, has mentioned, if there was no Israel, we would create one.
Great one, yeah.
So it's definitely a settler colonial project by the West, and that's why, as you mentioned, a fight against this settler colony is a fight against Western imperialism, Western colonization, even capitalism to an extent. Um, so you touched on very heavy, big topics, which I really like, and these are topics that could take hours to unpack. But you summarized it very nicely, and even in the U.S., I've did my undergrad in the U.S., and there's so many homeless people in the U.S. There's the veterans of the U.S., the men and the women that fought wars for the US, lots of them come back to their country and they're homeless. Yeah, they're homeless. They're unemployed. They don't have enough money to support themselves. Um, And the healthcare system in the US is so expensive. And as you mentioned, they're sending billions to the Zionist occupation instead of helping their own people. So something something is messed up. The politics is they definitely do not care about human life as much as they care about their own um, settler or
Project. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, their colonial projects. Um, yeah, that was a lot to unpack. And this sort of leads me to my other question, um, which is how do you hope as a Palestinian refugee right now living in Germany and wherever life takes you next, how do you hope that you stay connected to Palestine?
Actually, I will always be connected no matter what happens. Palestine is in my heart. Even if I was not a Palestinian, it's a right case. I would always support what's right, whether it's in my region or in
Mhm.
Europe, in the war in Ukraine. I'm against imperialism. I'm against white supremacy. I'm against this white settler project that you spoke about. Everyone has the right to exist. We have the right to exist. We are also human beings. Everything is being documented. Understand the propaganda of wars and stuff, but everything is being documented, and some people still don't want to see this because they can't. As I told you, they can't. And yeah, I wish all the Palestinians, the kids that we see, will have a better future.
Mm.
Palestine, I'm sure of this, and 100%, no matter how many Abrahamic records they sign, no matter what happens, no matter how many people they kill, this will be till the end. Palestinians will still keep on fighting till the end. They showed the world, as Ghassan said, Ghassan Kana, what's his name?
Kanafani.
Ghassan Kanafani. We are a small brave nation that will keep on fighting till the last drop of blood. Whether people like us abroad, whether people in Gaza, whether people, everyone have, and everyone that have failed us, whether from our own people, whether from Europe, whether from the whole world, they will see. I wish they will see this one day, and they will. The price will be high for everyone that have failed Palestine.
Hmm.
Palestine will be free, and after October 7, I believe in this even more and more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to something you mentioned for the very first question when I asked you when you think of the future, what's one word that comes to mind? And you said hope. So, what gives you hope today with everything that's happening and everything that you just talked about?
After October 7, actually, which I consider a very special day. Now, some people will say, oh, it was the day where many people were murdered and stuff. I'm against death of any people, of anyone on this world, no matter what his religion is, even if they were our enemies. But I believe there's injustice. And you told me after October 7, I believe I have more now, like love, or I feel I belong even more to Palestine. Why I believe in hope, because after October 7, it's not just we, as I told you. Now the whole world care about Palestine. Trust me, there are people who post daily about this case. People
Hmm.
who are don't share our faith, and I think you have friends from me, and they are even more. They even care more about this case more than our own people who failed us. People who once, like, I'm sorry to say this, we have some of our friends who want to satisfy their European friends. They are afraid to post about what's happening.
Hmm.
They are like, what's going to change?
Hmm.
They would say about Palestinians as terrorists. They would speak about their illegal weapons, but they won't say and fight. They want peace with a country. I'm with peace, I'm
Hmm.
with peace. But you want to do peace with who? Peace with a country that was found with injustice, was found with killing. No, this is not peace. For example, I can understand when there is peace between two countries who had long history, let's say Serbia and Kosovo, for example, or Serbia and Albania. They can have peace because they had problems with their history. But till now, every day there's death of people in Palestine. And how can I have peace with someone that still occupies part of my land, still kills my people every day, although there's a ceasefire? Violation of this ceasefire is every day in Lebanon. So, as I told you, why I have hope? Because the free people of the world are changing something. Palestine now is everywhere: restaurants, culture, music, streets, football stadiums in Bilbao. I don't know if you saw.
Mm-hmm.
They did more than our people did. And I don't want to mention now these countries, but you know which countries I mean. People who claim our religion, people. But as I told you, I don't believe in like, okay, we have this religion, so we are the right ones and stuff. Imperialism. There are countries that are imperialistic who have our own faith.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in Sudan, and I don't want to speak about this. Yeah, as you know.
Yeah. Um, Again, you're touching on so many important topics that are also very much related to Palestine. Whatever also is happening in Sudan. Um, uh,
In Nigeria also, I think
mhm.
everything is connected because
Yeah.
they have their own narrative. In Nigeria, I believe now they are fighting, they are murdering the Christians to use this as look at what. Yeah, I believe in their dirty politics. So they have this part of their dirty politics.
Mm-hmm.
They are the threat to humanity. We humans want to live with each other, but as I told you, these people don't want. And when I protest against these people.
Yeah.
They have caused many wars all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And as I told you, I'm against imperialism, whether
Yeah.
it's the US, whether it's Russia, whether it's Iran, whether it's Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, I want the people, I want to be free from slavery. So it's not just a free Palestine, it's free the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My sort of last two questions here. The first one is, um, something I love about your story and mine and that of so many Palestinians in the diaspora is when the Zionist project was initially founded, they were hoping that the old would die and the young would forget. Um, let's just say 30 years from now. How would you make sure that your kids are still connected to Palestine if you were living in Germany or in Lebanon or somewhere else?
There is one book I read. It's called The Jewish Paradox. I don't know if you read it.
I've heard of it.
And Ben Gurion said that tomorrow the next generation will forget. He wrote this, and I think 75 years of this conflict and the core of the problem is still there, and we need to be proud of this. Many people, I think you've heard this, that we sold our countries. I
Mm,
had some peaceful conversation with some people who asked me politely, maybe they don't know,
mhm,
is it true that Palestinians sold their land? And I'm like,
mm,
75 years and the core of the problem is still there. Don't you see people fighting with rocks? And you say that people sold their land. Of course, there will be some people maybe who did this, like few people. But don't tell me that the Palestinians sold their land. They are the people of resilience that will fight for everything we stand for, not just the land, for everything
yeah,
we stand for. And I believe my father has taught me this. My father never saw Palestine, but I can assure you that my dad is one of the huge fanatics for this country. He loves Palestine. He taught us about the land. He refuses. He doesn't accept when I say I'm from Lebanon. He loves this country. He feels something. And I will also teach my kids the same. First of all, before teaching them that they are Palestinians, they have to know that what's right and what's wrong. And this is the same stuff with Palestine and Israel. It's what's right and what's wrong.
mhm,
It was a land. You cannot build a country on the expense of killing others. There are people who died for you to build your state. You cannot do this. There are many Palestinians who live there. Maybe one day we would accept, I think you would accept this, and we have to be a bit realistic. I would accept living with Jews. I don't have something against Jews, of course, with a not radical thinking and stuff. And also, from our religion, there are people who are radical and stuff. I
yeah,
would like to live with everyone, but under the Palestinian flag and equality for all people. And this has always been Palestine. And some people will tell you Jews were murdered and stuff everywhere. Yeah, Jews were murdered, and no one can deny this. Whether it's in Europe, in Arabic countries, there were a very big, um, problem with the Jewish people everywhere, and no one can deny this. But now we are living in our like nowadays, like now moment, like I can say
let
it, now moment. We
let
want
me
to live with we want to live everyone, but with equality.
yeah,
And to start with this equality, we have to first remove these people who control us, pedophiles who control us. Like, see, in the United States, pedophiles control us. and they claim human rights in Germany. So the whole world is suffering. It's not just Palestine. And who
Yeah.
really understand that this has nothing to do with just Palestine. It's with
Mm-hmm.
the whole world. When the
Yeah.
whole world is free, then we will live in peace. Look now, everyone, war is very close to everyone now. Like
Mm.
everyone is afraid. No one wants to go to war. But these monsters of the world, these pedophiles who control us, I once also read some stuff that these people without wars, they cannot do money, they cannot
Yeah.
have power. So with wars, they breathe. Yeah,
I just wanna correct one small thing you said, or just like clarify, not correct. So
yeah,
no one is denying the Holocaust 100%. It 100% happened, and whatever happened during the Holocaust was horrible. But to your point about Jews living in the Arab world, bef anti-Semitism is a concept that was created by Europeans. And I think when you say we're okay with live with Jews, we 100% are. Um, Judaism, I mean, Jesus was a Palestinian Jew, right? Before he brought in Christianity. And so we are 100% okay to live with Palestinian Jews. Um, if you ask me, uh, those new sort of settlers that came from Europe, that came from China, that came from I don't know where, claiming that Palestine belongs to them, they should go back to their countries. Those settlers. We're against having Zionists remaining in Palestine. There's a difference between a Jew and a Zionist.
yeah, yeah. I told you
If
about radical.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like people, Zionist Jews, or there's even Zionist Muslims, Zionist Christians. These are the
exactly.
ones that are not welcome in Palestine. Because when you going back to your point, when you said people think we sold our land, for those of you who are يعني you speak Arabic or Arabic, if you watch التغريب الفلسطيني, you can see how lots of rich Palestinians, Zionist Palestinians, were forcing Palestinian farmers to sell their land to the Zionists, to the settler Zionists who are coming to Palestine. So there is Zionist Palestinians, Zionist Muslims, Zionist Christians. Zionism is not specific to any religion. And if we look, for example, at New York, where we see lots of Jewish, even when I was in London, UK, there's lots of Jews who believe that Palestine should be from the river to the sea, that Israel should not exist, that Zionism is a demonic project. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It was a spin or just a narrative built by white Europeans to force the settler colony on us. And even when they were picking a country to send the Jews to, um, they were looking at Brazil, Uganda. It wasn't just Palestine.
Uganda, exactly.
Um, so I 100% agree with so many of the things that you mentioned. And in a free Palestine, before Zionism existed, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and any other folks from other religions, they never had a problem. Anti-Semitism was not something that the Arabs created, something that the white Europeans created. And if you look at the definition of Semitism, Arabs are Semites too.
I know, I know.
So this white European spin on the terminology honestly fucked us all up. And this is how they keep us oppressed. And this is how whenever you say Palestine or just they're like anti-Semitic. And
Exactly. This is why I tell you it's not a fight only against the Zionism. It's a fight against oppression,
yeah.
these double standards, white supremacy, Western colonization and stuff. So it means a lot. And as I told you, sometimes I feel like now more emotional. I want to go and speak with everyone about this, but sometimes I say, calm down. Like today, I wanted to go to the streets to see these fans and comfort them. But then I was like, why? Control your emotions. Maybe you would lose everything you've tried to build because of this stuff. So I said to myself, I will. There are other people who will do it. I will not do it.
To be honest, we always had these conversations when I was a student in the US. Sometimes it's better to let like your allies who are citizens maybe, who are white, who have more privilege, to be on the front line in these countries because you are at risk of deportation. They're not. Their privilege
Exactly.
somewhat saves them. So there's nothing wrong with how you're thinking and being safe, and especially with everything that you've risked to be here. And this brings me to my last question here, which is let's go back to imagining a free Palestine. So no occupation, we have one Palestinian government. Um, in your opinion, what sort of principles do you think this Palestinian government should have? And specifically here, I'm talking about from your experience visiting Palestinian refugee camps in Lebanon, you can see how politically divided they are. So my question here is, when we imagine one unified Palestinian government, what principles should guide it?
As you said, like it's not just we are divided, the whole region is divided.
Mm-hmm.
And Lebanon is the biggest example. You know this very well. They have divided us. And before, I believe that we also have to improve ourselves in the
Yeah.
whole region. Go on TikTok or on Instagram, go to the comment section and see how we fight.
Yeah.
Go see how much we are divided. They still fight about things that happened 4,000 years ago and stuff. So the principles, one of the main principles I believe in is really equality for Palestine and for the whole region. We are people where Christianity are, like people say, Christianity is a minority and Christianity doesn't exist, and we are fighting Christianity. And you know this narrative of the European narrative they have. I want everyone to live together and stuff under one government who give free rights for everyone and stuff.
Mhm.
What else did you ask me? Actually, I'm tired
Uh,
of speaking, but
I'm just saying, my question was, what principles do you think this?
yeah, equality for everyone, people to stop being divided in the whole region. We want to go back. My grandfather back in the days was having his bus. He was taking passengers from Lebanon to Syria to Palestine. I want this to go back. I want the whole
Mm,
region to live in peace. This is a dream. I cannot even imagine, it's a dream. When this day happens, it will be a dream. It will be a dream because it's the victory of not just our state, it's the victory of what's right against evil. This will be written in history books and everything. It's God's promise to us. I don't want to speak about religion and stuff, but yeah, it's gonna be something. And I would of course I would wish to exist with everyone, as I said, and people to stop being divided. The whole narrative they have should fall. The whole narrative they have should not exist anymore. Christianity have always existed in our region, always. Judaism. We are not anti-Semitic. We don't have anything against Judaism. We want what is right, and we are against what is wrong. In
mhm.
brief, yeah.
Muhammad, thank you so much. I could see that you've given all your heart and all your sort of vision and hopes for the future. And honestly, today's conversation reminded me that thinking of the future isn't something abstract, it's something personal. It's something about our right to travel freely, our right to belong, our right to return. So, Muhammad, again, thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you, Salma.
your dreams, your visions, and your insights that you just shared with us, they will live in this archive. And
Inshallah.
this is just the beginning. So for everyone watching, stay tuned for inshallah more interviews to come and more visions of the future that we as Palestinians hope to build. Thank you all for watching and stay tuned. Thank you, Muhammad, and we'll talk
Thank
to
you.
you. Bye bye.